Welcome to AgriBytes, a moment in agriculture. My name's Cody Maxwell, Fannin County Extension Agent for Agriculture and Natural Resources with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. So we're here today with you in a hay meadow here in Fannin County to talk with you about the fall armyworm. Now, I know that is not a subject that anybody wants to talk about. We know what it caused during the latter part of July, moving into early August. And that's why I wanted to talk with you this week about armyworms, because when we go back and we look at the timeline leading up to where we are now, around the 1st of September, we go back and we see when we had the most damage from them back in July 31st into August 1st was when I was receiving the most phone calls about them. When we look at the life cycle and the biology of these armyworms, how it happens is when they emerge or they hatch from the ground, they come up, they start feeding on the plant. Now, this feeding stage, depending on the size of these armyworms, can last roughly for about 2 weeks till the armyworm reaches about 1.5 inches long. When they've completing their feeding stage, they'll move back down close to the soil surface. They'll then go into the soil and they'll move into the stage in which they pupate. Following the time that they pupate, they'll emerge from that soil as an adult moth, and then they'll start laying their eggs into the soil. Now, a female adult armyworm moth can lay about 2,000 eggs into the soil. When the conditions get right, as they are now, you can see the storm clouds behind me. You can see the cooler weather that we're experiencing here in Northeast Texas. You look back to this last weekend that we had, cooler weather, some people saw some rain, but when we get cooler weather and moisture, that is what causes a hatch of these armyworms, and the reason that I wanted to bring this video to you this week. Once the conditions get right, we need to make sure that we're going around to these hay meadows, our pastures, our residential lawns, and scouting for these armyworms if we wish to protect that grass that we have out there. We do that by getting down on our hands and knees, parting the grass apart and scouting for these armyworms close to the soil surface prior to them moving up the plant and moving into their feeding stage of the life cycle. Once we reach a threshold, that would signify an application of an insecticide on our hay meadows or our pastures or our residential lawn areas. If you have any questions of insecticides to use, if you have any questions about your approach to managing armyworms, I invite you to give us a phone call at the Fannin County Extension Office. My name's Cody Maxwell, Fannin County Extension Agent for Agriculture and Natural Resources with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of AgriBytes.